Hello, 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 everyone. Happy Wednesday. I'm Claire Jones. If we haven't already met, I'm an author and small publisher committed to changing the world for the better through inclusive stories and practices. And we are jumping on today for my Authorvision Facebook Live series, where I interview the amazing and inspiring authors in my network to discuss the personal visions that have shaped our lives and careers. So if you're joining us, please like, comment, share below. Let us know that you're here. And today I'm talking to Misha. Yay! So glad to have you here.
Thank you. I'm delighted. I love it. I love doing these kind of conversations. They're so inspiring and engaging and thoughtful. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, they're always fun. Well, let's just dive right in. How did you get to where you are today? Tell us the backstory.
Oh boy. Okay. So there's lots of different kinds of backstories. I'm going to choose, let's see, option C. No, I'm just kidding. I'm actually was reflecting on this yesterday. So who I am has evolved, as we all know, based on people that have done a wonderful thing in the world, beautiful, inspiring people. And there are also people that aren't so inspiring and kind of mean. And I have been actually noticing what a gift it is that I've been able to shape myself based on all of that. And not feel resentment or regret or anger about those people, and whether it be politicians, whether it be family members, whether it just be people in the community. I feel like the way I've gotten where I am today is I've been able to discern the things that serve me and the things that don't serve me. And so going from being young, being told that I was too sensitive, too emotional, too, not wearing a tutu, but too.
Yeah. Too much in a tutu.
Exactly. Too much needing a tutu. No, just kidding. And then also even losing jobs because of my playfulness and silliness, being told I wasn't mature enough. And I was like, wow, these messages feel really empty. That something's not right. To be able to navigate not going to the other side of too serious, too reserved, too, so finding that middle ground. And I think for a long time, I developed the skill or talent of being a chameleon, but that served me for a while, almost like a survival skill, right? Survival trait. So being a chameleon where I can be in this place, this place, this place, this place, and everybody knew a different Misha. And so all of that to say that what I'm here now is my true authentic self. And I'm going to be my true authentic self with you. I'm going to be my true authentic self with my in-laws. I'm going to be my true authentic self with the people I do trainings for. And what that means is a true blend of all my parts, a true blend. Yeah.
I love that. I absolutely love that. One of the things that I kind of had to, I guess one of the mottos that I had to set for myself in the last few years was I can learn something from everyone that I talk to, even if it's learning what not to do.
Yeah. Yeah, what not to do, what to do less of. What to stay away from.
Totally.
Absolutely.
And there's value. There's
Yeah.
value in each of those lessons, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, and I could sit and beat myself up, or I could sit and beat somebody else up, verbally or emotionally, like just really harp on who that person is. But if I can really focus on, and the deepest part of my work has just been since January, where I really had dived in very deep to identify, okay, it's not helping me to be focusing on that. Like I was going, so my new phrase is marinate, don't ruminate. And so I'm marinating things instead of ruminating, which means that I'm learning to take what works for me and I'm not focusing on the things that don't. And it can be hard. I can wake up in the middle of the night and thinking, oh, I wish. But it's not, it's less and less as time goes on.
Yeah. I mean, I've been thinking a lot about this in particular when it comes to social media, because so many of the algorithms nowadays highlight controversy, highlight violence, highlight negativity, because that tends to get the most comments, that tends to get the most engagements. And like, I just watched a video yesterday that was talking about the proliferation of violence in TikTok video or Twitter videos specifically.
Oh, wow.
And it's because those tend to get way more engagement than non-violent content, right? And I think this goes to your point, in terms of like, we could spend so much time on the negativity, on the violence, on criticizing, on fighting and like arguing and all of this stuff and judging other people, shaming other people, shoulding other people. But it's our decision to be like, all right, am I going to take a positive lesson from this negative experience, or am I going to perpetuate the negativity?
Yeah. It's interesting because when you were talking about that, what came to my mind was remembering that as a young child, and even as an adult, if I needed or wanted something, I had to get to the point where I was angry or I was crying.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think as a society, we tend to really like if the baby's crying, we got to get him quiet, right?
Yeah.
But if the baby's smiling and cooing and enjoying himself, we leave him to play all by himself. And so similarly, as adults, if there's violence or if there's hate or if there's tears or if there's anger, we go to either soothe it or to punish it. But when things are calm, like I can't often get my needs met I mean, today that's not true, but I couldn't often get my needs met in different situations, whether it be work or family. If I was just happy-go-lucky, that doesn't work for me. And smile. Like, no, okay, well, too bad, so sad, right? But if you put up a fight, then more likely, like I can't say this got her very far, but we were at the airport yesterday and this woman was angry because she was told 3 times different gates that she needed to be for at the airport. And yeah, she was getting them to make calls and get information with her anger, but she wasn't getting much more than that. And she still ended up having to sit another 3 hours because the flight wasn't on time. Whereas for me, like these people, this is where I come from with what I do in my life, with empathy and emotional intelligence. Like these people who are doing these jobs, it's not easy for them either that the flights are delayed or canceled.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it impacts me, I didn't have to worry about it yesterday, but when we have flights change or there's a weather challenge or a technical challenge, but I'd rather be alive sitting in an airport seat than dead in the ocean somewhere.
Yeah.
But so when I talk to people, I noticed that when I was needing to get pre-boarding, I was able to use loving, kind energy. I even had said, wow, you handled that situation really well. And thank you for all that you're doing. And she said, no problem. And, thank you for acknowledging that. And then she was like really sweet to me, like she was asking me even extra step of the way. They changed our seats. I didn't even ask them to change our seats. So anyways, I just say that because while we're trained to get angry or to cry to get what we need, slowly there, I think, is a shift to be able to use love and compassion and empathy to meet each other's needs.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's such a powerful point that you made about how we often don't get our needs met unless we're angry or crying. Like, I can relate to that so hardcore. Like,
yeah,
people throughout my life where I had to either get angry or start crying in order for them to listen to me. And that becomes a repeated habit over time too, because you learn that that's the only way that you can get your needs attended to is if you get angry or start crying or cause drama. And that's a toxic habit to develop for yourself. But we can't really blame ourselves for that either.
Right. We've been trained.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
it's a survival skill.
It's not a personal failing.
Skill isn't necessary anymore. But yes, it's not a personal failing at all. We're not at fault. And some people might say, well, somebody's got to be at fault. Well, but that's not even the issue. Like, you're not at fault. We're not at fault. It is what it is. And now how do we change that? How do we support each other to hear each other? And this is what I do with the nonprofits that I work with. It's like, how do you listen to each other? How you have your vision, you have your vision. How do you come together knowing who you are and create that vision that works for both of you? How can we make it a win-win, so to speak? Right. And it's listening and talking and sharing and not belittling and not negativity and not shutting things down without a conversation. Right.
I mean, that's a perfect segue into the next question of what personal visions have shaped your journey this far.
Yeah, thinking about that. So I'm a fantasy person. I have lots of fantasies about the way I'd like the world to be.
Yeah, same.
There are a lot. There's some visions in there, but I've also heard some really impressive people speak. Martin Luther King, Michelle Obama. Audre Lorde,
Mm.
even singers, Carole King, Joni Mitchell.
Mm.
There've been some, there've got a lot of other names, but people who really speak with purpose for peace, for the greater good, and so my vision is that we collectively work for peace and the greater good.
Mm.
And it's hard right now. Our country is so full of hate here in the US anyways, and other countries as well. But, learning how to diffuse that anger and hate. And like I said earlier, my deepest work has been January, where I'm learning how to be an actor, not a reactor, and I even had my own challenges with that. I'm a lot better than I was 14 years ago. But I think that my vision is really where people can support with love, calm down. There's so much power in pausing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Power in the pause. And then the journey is to just slow things down. And I've watched those people, like even when I think about Michelle and Barack Obama and Martin Luther King, like their pacing of their speaking slowed us all down.
Yeah. Our cadence, like when the Obamas speak, I'm just like,
yeah, it's like sugar, whipped cream on a cake or ice cream or something. Like it's sweet, it's delicious, it's clear, but it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's succinct, and it's deep. It touches a lot of hearts, unless there are people just seething as they're listening to them because of whatever reasons. It's like, and that's why hate gets in the way, because we can't hear. Even in my own work with my partner, she and I will talk and share with each other, but we have a ritual where if I'm speaking, she listens to be listening, to find meaning in what I'm saying, and vice versa. And the challenge is that sometimes she can say something or I can say something that makes the other person defensive. And if we sit in that defensiveness and we get angry and we want to justify and prove our point, then we're not hearing each other. And we know that we'll have an opportunity to share how their share made us feel. And so we call this compassionate communication, she and I, and we help each other. And then we work with the people that I work with and she works with. We incorporate and teach compassionate communication, because when she has the opportunity, or I have the opportunity to slow down and listen for meaning for her, what is her meaning? Not what does it mean to me? What is her meaning? Then I don't have to be defensive.
Yeah.
I don't have to start blaming myself or trying to justify. I can just listen and see whatever she has to say, whether it's about me at all or anybody else, how it's impacting her. And I can have empathy for her. And that's what I get when I listen to those people that I mentioned. Even going back to my 3rd and 5th grade teachers in Via Harris, like just this cadence and this beautiful patience with us squirrely kids.
Right.
And adults are squirrely kids too.
Oh yeah.
They're annoying, but you gotta just slow down.
Yeah. I mean, I think what's underlying all of this is a sense of intention. Like being very intentional with how we interact with the world and influence the world around us person by person, is like, how can we be more intentional with the words that are coming from us and how we interpret the words that are not coming from us. It's all about intention at the end of the day.
Yeah. And I want to say too, I don't know why I heard, well, you asked me about which people, you asked what my vision was and what people inspired that. But I also want to say that I've done a lot of vision board work. I've set a lot of goals. I've also, kind of looked at what other people are doing in the world, what's working, what's not working, what's needed. Well, as far as I'm concerned, love is more needed than hate right now. There's plenty of hate out there. So
very true.
It's really identifying like, how can I complete the vision that I've had for myself in my life. And I will say, even with vision boarding, like there are things that happened in my life that I didn't expect. But when I did the vision board, it's like, now I get to go back and go, look, I've got a business. I don't have hearing aids anymore, but I need them. But I had hearing aids. I've lost them. And there's like all these different things that, I can hear better. I can communicate better. Those are things that I think when we start to learn to manifest what we want, right, then we attract it. We have to do work to do that, though. It's not just, oh, let me envision this and all of a sudden it'll be there. Like you still have to do all the work.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I honestly believe that that's why neuroscience should be taught as part of the basic curriculum in schools, because we need to be able to harness the brain power behind, whether you call it manifestation, whether you call it, positive thinking, like whatever label you want to call it. It's like
Right.
training our brains intentionally. Like, again, we're bringing this intention
Absolutely.
into it of being like, all right, this is how our brain naturally functions, or maybe we have weird brain anomalies that cause it to function in other ways, but being aware of that is going to help us then take control or harness that generative energy that it can provide.
Absolutely. I mean, I do a daily, well, I've been trying to do a daily practice. I can't do it every single day, but I do my gratitude. That's almost every day. And then a meditation in the morning. And the meditation is just affirmations. I close my eyes, I have my hand on my heart. And I can tell you, I believe more in those affirmations today than I did 3 years ago. And I've been doing those affirmations, adding on a little bit every single time. But I have 8 affirmations that I say every day. That is a regular thing. It doesn't matter if it's in the morning, afternoon, evening, but now they're rolling off. Like I can even say them and then say them backwards.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually believe in them. I am worthy, I'm lovable, I am happy. One I'm still working on, which is that I live a pain-free life. It's a little bit difficult, but I have fibromyalgia, so it's not super, but even in that moment, I can notice, oh, my body isn't hurting in that moment.
Yeah.
Right. And so being able to acknowledge that, I think it's definitely, building neural pathways. It's interesting that you mentioned that as well, because I was doing academic life coaching with students who are dealing with, challenges, adulting, right? Executive
Yeah.
function, time
Yeah.
management,
Yeah.
studying. So helping them create new habits. We have to allow our neural pathways to connect, and we have to practice and practice and practice and practice.
Yeah.
It takes a long time to build a habit, and it takes a long time to break a habit.
Yeah.
So, but I really do believe that, whether we're building our neural pathways to support us psychologically, emotionally, physically, even financially, we're much better off.
Yeah. I mean, you can train your brain to believe anything. Like
Absolutely.
it's confirmation bias. It's literally built into the way we are wired. And so if you can train your brain to believe anything, your beliefs then shape your perception of the world. Like literally, you will see different things, notice different things, observe different things if you have that underlying belief backing it up. Like there's a fascinating study that I love talking about where these researchers took a group of people and asked them to qualify themselves as either lucky or unlucky before the experiments. They were like, do you consider yourself a lucky person, or do you consider yourself an unlucky person, which is a belief, right, in our brains. And then they asked the participants to go through a newspaper and count how many images were in the newspaper and report back to the researchers, right? The lucky participants took like 2 minutes total to go through the newspaper and come up with a number of images, whereas the unlucky participants took like 5 to 10 minutes to go through the newspaper to come up with a number of images.
Wow.
It is because on the second page of the newspaper, there was a big text block that said there are 32 images in this newspaper. So the lucky people perceived that text block, saw it, and then gave that number to the researchers. The unlucky people literally didn't see the text block because they were only looking for images.
Wow.
And so it literally shaped their perception of the physical object in front of them, is that underlying belief. And so when we're able to like build that belief intentionally, that then intentionally impacts the way that we perceive the world around us.
Interesting. So I just had a devil's advocate moment. The assignment was to count all the pictures. It wasn't to get the answer and
I honestly don't remember the exact phrasing of it, of like figure out how many images are in the, I don't remember the exact phrasing. Yeah. Yeah, it's in the book.
So here I am going, oh, they went the easy route and they counted all the pictures.
Yeah, it's in the book, The Happy Advantage.
I'm going to check that out. That's really cool, though.
Sean Acker, I believe, is the author's name. And so it's just one of my favorite studies to reference because it's just mind-blowing the way that underlying belief shapes the way that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well,
there's been lots of different experiments that have kind of taken that as well. Like, whether there was like a Monopoly game experiment, whether people feel like they were lucky or not. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, so I know we're getting off topic.
Yeah, totally. I was just thinking like, I mean, this is kind of part of the lessons question of like what lessons we've learned along the way. So are there any other lessons that you want to add to this?
So a few things. One, as far as how my journey has been, that temporary, everything is temporary. Everything, whether it's our pain or our joy, our jobs, our families, our friends, the trees, the leaves on the trees, everything is temporary.
Yeah.
And so where do we want to put our focus, right? On the things that fulfill us or the things that tear us down?
Mm.
And so what I've been learning since very young is that it's very easy, kind of like we talked about, if you cry and you yell and scream and get mad, you're going to get your needs met. But it's very easy to think that way for a long time. But that doesn't build you up. And I mean, I don't feel love inside my body even when I say those words.
Yeah.
Right. So if I can focus on all the joys, and I heard someone share one day, they have on their mirror in their bathroom, this opportunity, they have the negative words on the left side and the word choice in the center and the positive words on the right side. They always see their choice. And I actually ended up doing this. I put it on my bathroom windowsill, or my office windowsill. So it's right above my laptop when I'm home. I'm in Maine right now. And I have, anger, frustration, sadness, and not that these feelings are not okay, pity, devastation, but then I have joy, dance, music, laughter, and then I get to look at the word in the middle that says choice.
Mm.
And so I get to choose to acknowledge and feel the feelings that are hard. And I get to make a choice to navigate away and also feel the joy. So I get to have both. And that's the coexistence that I think is important to share. And then finally, one of the things that I've realized, and this is why I created my business in the last couple of years, is that more people want to be heard and understood than not, right? So the big thing, whether it's politics, the division,
Yeah.
Republican, Democrat, whether it's, church and atheist, the biggest thing is that people just want to be heard.
Yeah.
And so as we center empathy and emotional intelligence into the workplace, as we center empathy and emotional intelligence to our families and our communities and slow things down, the more people have the opportunity to connect and be heard. Right? We're not here to agree, disagree with anybody's experiences because they belong to them, but we can hear them and just be there.
Yeah, I mean, heard, seen, valued. Like, I think that that's the basic human need, honestly, is like, do I hear you? Do I see you? And do I value you? Is like, because that's going to provide that foundation of support and self-esteem as well to then build from. Because otherwise, we're just like building that foundation all by ourselves, inch of concrete by inch of concrete. Like,
yeah. And, I think we can also take it the other way. When I'm with people, do I feel heard, seen, and valued?
Totally.
And if I don't, what's next?
Yeah.
What do I need to do with that? And I think oftentimes people stay in work relationships or friend relationships or family relationships too long, knowing that they're not being seen, heard, or valued. So then how do you create that for yourself? And I think it's really important for people to check in with themselves. Is this friendship serving me? Is this workplace? And I know we don't all have the choice to just quit our jobs and become self-employed or whatever it is. But I still think, again, going back to the neural pathways and going back to the manifestations, if we tell ourselves we deserve to be heard, seen, and valued, we will attract more people that are willing to do that.
Yeah. I mean, that's also a perfect segue into the next question of like, what everyday tools or practices have you used to support yourself as you pursue these visions of yours?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mentioned the gratitude practice and what I did with that. So I do 3 gratitudes every day, if not more. And I actually have a texting buddy. So we text each other our gratitude. So there's always somebody that I get to land on who sees me, hears me, and values me. So I have that. I have the meditation with the affirmations. I typically go to a spiritual relief meeting. So I have a spiritual group that I like to meet with, and I do that 4 or 5 times a week. I do readings. I love quotes. So I like to read quotes of the day or daily meditations.
Mm-hmm.
As much as I am an extroverted introvert, I will reach out to friends for, even just a 10-minute conversation.
Yeah.
Lately, I have not been able to play the guitar and do my singing because I had shoulder surgery. So I had this lovely Frankenstein scar right here and a few on the top, but I will be getting back into that shortly because I'm 3 months after surgery. But there's so many things.
Yeah.
And I think really, and I've been using the two of these quotes recently, I have to be able to name it, to claim it, to tame it.
Yes.
So that's the big one. If I feel something and I just kind of push it off,
yes,
it's going to go deeper and it's going to be harder for me to deal with.
Yes.
So I name it to tame it. And then I think you've already heard all that laughter back there. I don't know, but anyways, there's a family reunion going on in the room. The other thing I want to say is that I know I have to feel it to feel it. So I name it to tame it. Here it is. I'm feeling sad. Okay. I'm not going to say, okay, I'm feeling sad. Okay, now move on. Go do my to-do list.
Right.
I literally, and I used to set the timer. I don't need to set the timer as much anymore. Okay, sadness has entered. Here you are. Thank you for being here. What are you wanting to share with me or teach me right now? And I let it be here. And then I'm like, okay, I need you to exit stage left now. I'm ready to go forward. But I really think it's important to feel it in order to feel it.
Yeah.
And I guess other than that, I think speaking my truth in a loving, respectful way. And with some people I can't, so I don't. And that's okay.
Yeah.
But those are my practices, sometimes daily, sometimes weekly.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's so important to have these little things on a daily basis to fill yourself up intentionally, because we get bombarded day in and day out by toxicity in all kinds of systemic ways on
Absolutely.
a day-to-day basis.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was just talking to someone this week actually, and she and I were sharing that we have a list, and I was proud to see that I actually have 100 things on my list of things I can go to, even if it's like just hugging my teddy bear or looking out at the beautiful view, if I just stare at a tree or a bird or a hummingbird. So all of these things are on a list. So I would really highly recommend to folks who are struggling to kind of reach that place of gratitude or reach that place of joy, to start making a list of what are the things that make you smile, or what are the things that help you feel connected to either yourself or others. The list is wonderful. When I go back and read over it, I'm like, wow, that's cool. I have so many options.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's great because sometimes you don't feel like doing certain things on a specific day, right? Like people get so regimented in their self-care routines that it almost like defeats the purpose of them, because it's like a whip, like do your affirmations, do
why haven't you
do the meditation, you know what I mean? And it's just like, why can't we have a menu of options to choose from, of being like, all right, today I feel like eating 5 cupcakes, and that's totally okay.
Whatever works, do it. Right. Yeah, absolutely. There was something that I was going to say and I lost it, but that's okay. Maybe it'll come back. Well, we're almost at time. So
yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Anything you want to add before we wrap up?
I am excited that I wrote a book and wanted to share that. If that's the time to do it, I'm happy to do that. So I was a teacher for 30 years and I left teaching because I was discriminated by my school district, and I couldn't fight the fight. So I've been building my business now for 3 years, and part of my journey was a teacher. So I wrote a book for teachers, and it's supposed to be digestible. So I don't want teachers just reading it all in one full swoop. It's basically 30 years of teaching thrown into 53 real life teaching stories. And each story has some questions for them to answer with journaling space. And then there's a positivity chart to kind of keep track of it. So that is called A Teacher's Companion: How to Center Empathy and Emotional Well-Being for Yourself and Your Students. And I'm proud of it. I'm excited for it. It's on Amazon. You can also go to my website to buy it. And I'm just hoping that it'll support teachers and students to make education less of a chore, but more of just a wondrous ongoing adventure.
I love that. I love that. And this is all powerful stuff that we're talking about, like the books that we write, the stories that we share, the experiences that we talk about in these episodes. It's just every time I walk away with something where I'm like, yes, that was a perfect use of my time during this.
Yay!
So audience, we definitely encourage you to share your own thoughts and feelings and insights and stories with us as well. We'd love to know how personal visions like these have shaped you in your own lives. So special thanks to Misha for joining me today.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you.
So please comment, like, subscribe below, check out Linktree/ClaireJoins for all of my links. And then where can people find out more about you?
Yeah, absolutely. I am on LinkedIn for sure, Misha Safran, but you can also go to my website at www.ceeq.org /connect if you'd like to just connect with me. Otherwise, you can look at all my offerings, do leadership development training and coaching, and supporting nonprofits to detoxify and create wonderful environments for themselves and others.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I'll make sure
you.
all of those links are available in the descriptions and stuff for easy access as well. And until next time, please remember that you all have extraordinary stories inside of you, and I'm rooting for you as you use them to change the world for the better. Take care, everyone.
Bye.